What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Grow. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 things that you must do as a microgreen grower. Fuck, dude. Number 1, risers. So I spend a lot of time hunched over the table, laying out seeds, laying out soil. Typically whenever we do planting, we plant about 100 trays, and the tables that I use are just cheap fold-up tables that you can get from a department store. And they're awesome, but they're only about waist high. So I find myself hunched over for hours at a time trying to do my work on my planting day. And so I was like, man, there's got to be something better. There's got to be a way to kind of raise these tables up. So I went on Amazon and I found these risers. It's a 2-piece set. If you're a little bit shorter, you can just use one. If you're a little taller, you could put them together and use 2. They are a little bit awkward if you're trying to set them up by yourself. So if you do decide to try these out, I would recommend setting your tables up in an area where you can kind of keep them set up for a period of time. But once you get them set up, the trade will save so much pain in your back by the end of the day. If you guys are spending a lot of time doing planting, and you're looking for a way to kind of raise the table up so you don't have to be hunched over all day, I would highly recommend grabbing these risers. I will post a link in the description below so you guys will know right where to find them. But definitely check them out. I think it'll save you guys a lot of back pain. So, number 2, lighting. We use these really cool LED lights that actually daisy chain all the way down to one plug. This helps us keep from having wires everywhere hanging down, potentially causing issues with water. We're able to run everything down to one plug and keep everything really nice and clean. These lights are super cheap. You can find them on Amazon. We'll drop a link to these as well so you guys can find them. But we found that instead of having lots of wires hanging out all over the place, hanging down, it's much safer, and it gives the grow much more of a clean aesthetic to have lights that daisy chain. Number 3, harvesting with a knife versus harvesting with scissors. So when I first started, I was harvesting with scissors, and you can harvest a lot of crops with scissors, and especially things like shiso, sorrel, basil, things like that, where you really need to be able to get down into the crop and clip the bases individually. Scissors will work really well, and you could definitely use them for those purposes. But I would highly recommend using a knife. And the reason is because when you spend hours doing this repetitive motion all day, it's hard on your tendons in your forearm, and that can lead to carpal tunnel in your arm. So just to avoid that from the start, you can just get a really sharp kitchen knife, and instead of doing this repetitive motion the whole time while you're cutting trays, it's just one motion. Basically, you're gonna pinch the knife, you're gonna hold the greens with your hand, and you're gonna go right through. And honestly, I think it takes about the same amount of time whether you use a knife or whether you use scissors. But for me, I think it just comes down to longevity and trying to make sure that I don't wear my arms out so that I can continue to grow microgreens for the long haul. So number 4 is stacking during germination. So for the majority of our crops, once we plant our seeds, we'll take our trays and we'll stack them 4 high, and then we'll take an extra tray and put it on top, and then we'll take a garden brick and lay it on top of that tray. And what that does is that helps the seeds to seep down into the soil and take super evenly. This weight right here keeps even weight all the way across all these trays so that we get really nice even germination of our seeds. And ever since I've started doing this method, I've had just about perfect germination. I used to have issues with some varieties where they would come out super patchy. And once I started using the garden brick stacking technique, I started having much better results, much higher yields, much more even yields. And I've been doing it ever since. This is how our cilantro is yielding every single time. This is how it's germinating. We pretty much got it down pat. This is one that if you don't use weight, you're gonna get really wonky, uneven, patchy germination rates, and it's gonna drive you crazy. But if you've been having trouble with this, especially with this cilantro, plant them. I like to add a little thin layer of soil on the top. Once I lay my seeds, I water them, I stack them 4 high. Add an extra tray, add a garden brick, give them about 5-6 days in germination. Take them out from blackout. I'm starting to see sprouts, and within a couple days of being under the light, I'm seeing a really nice thick canopy starting to appear. Guys, this is at about day 11 right here. Look how nice that is. You don't want to go over 4 high. I've noticed that anytime I stack more than 4 trays high, if I even do 5, I'll start to have issues with rotten spots. So make sure you only stack 4 high. Make sure you add that top tray, add that garden brick, and I think you guys will notice a big difference in your germination. All right, guys, number 5. I know what you're thinking, a trash can. Yes, a trash can. So before, I was having to walk around with a 50-pound bag of soil hunched over like this and drag it all around the grow. And I started thinking, there has to be a better way. There has to be something else that I can use. So I decided to order one of these trash cans off Amazon that has wheels on the bottom. So now each week, whenever my soil comes in, I kind of break it down a little bit, and then I pour it into this trash can where I have scoops that I can scoop it out. But this allows me, instead of having to stay bent over and drag that 50-pound bag all the way around the grow, now I can take this trash can that's on wheels, I can stand straight up so I'm not hunched over, and I'm able to just move it anywhere around the grow that I want to go. So if you guys are dragging lots of soil around, if you're looking for a more efficient way to get your soil around the grow, definitely recommend grabbing one of these trash cans off Amazon. All right, so for those of you that stuck around till the end of the video, I'm about to show you one of the coolest hacks in the microgreen industry, and that's how to grow microgreens in the dark. So how do we do this, you might be asking? This guy right here. So super simple. We're just taking regular pea tendril seeds, we're planting them, and then we're covering them with this blacked out humidity dome for their entire life cycle. So for 14 days, instead of growing them under light, you're gonna grow them under this dome. And whenever you pull the dome off, they're gonna look like this. Chefs really like to use these typically in the wintertime, whenever there's not a lot of color in the kitchen. Also seen chefs use these on salads and things where they, instead of using them horizontally, they use them vertically. And what that does is it creates the illusion that there's more food on the plate than there actually is. So instead of setting them over sideways, they'll stand them straight up. And when you're the customer looking down, it just creates the illusion that there's more food on the plate. So there's multiple different reasons for why chefs like to use these things, but it's just a unique crop. I know when I first started trying to grow these things, I was wondering, like, why do they keep turning green? And the secret is you're depriving them of light, and they'll actually stay yellow. So pretty cool tip. If you guys have never done this, give it a shot. I think your chefs will be stoked. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Really hope these hacks help you out. If you guys have any hacks of your own that you'd like to share with us, please drop them in the description below. Thank you so much for following us on our journey. We really appreciate you all, and we'll see you on the next one.